Hello and welcome to Charles Kelly Money Tips. It's a bit of a late broadcast today because I've had what you might call a long day, but more like sort of 13, 14 hours today. I've been out in town in London, attending meetings and attended a meeting in the Houses of Parliament, in Parliament this evening, which was a discussion regarding EU rights and what's going to happen to EU citizens after Brexit and the law, what comes next. It's called organised by the British Italian Conservatives, and it was a very interesting meeting. Had speakers like Alberto Costa, the MP, who put forward an EU citizens' rights amendments bill, and he is also the honorary president of the British Italian Conservatives. We had Simon Davis, Law Society President of England and Wales, and many other speakers. Alexandro Belluzzo, who's the president of the Italian Chamber of Commerce. We also had Angela McFarland, who was the market director and chair of the Brexit task force for a company called IQVIA. And all in all, it was a very interesting. Another speaker was a barrister called Mark Watson-Gandy, and I'll talk more about him in a second. But overall, the meeting went through EU, what's happening with EU negotiations, and when these have to be completed by. Now we know that this year we have basically a year to get things sorted out, and things will remain as they are for the year during this period of grace, if you like, where we stay as we are until the end of December. But we have only until October to negotiate a trade agreement and get that ratified in both parliaments and agreed by European countries. So it's quite a tight task, and I understand from Alberto Costa that these negotiations are taking place. He said that the EU team under Barnier have a very smart team behind them. They have young, smart lawyers who are tough negotiators, but equally we have good people as well, led by David Frost, not the old TV presenter, hello, good evening and welcome, not him, but another David Frost. And, we have some good lawyers in there as well negotiating. And yeah, I think it will be tough, but at the end of the day, we do import more goods than we export, but we do also export some of the more services than we import. So we are a service-based economy, so we need to get that right. And one of the services is legal services, for instance, who will get to resolve disputes. Obviously, the lawyers are looking to make sure their business is protected. But one lawyer told me, for instance, this was Professor Mark Watson-Gandy, who's a barrister, and he specialises in insolvency. And he said that London is like the insolvency capital of the world, and we even have bankruptcy tourism here, German companies coming here to become insolvent. So he wants that to continue, obviously. So these are the sort of things were discussed tonight. It is good that we know that these negotiations are taking place, and they've been taken very seriously by business. I asked a question about UK fishing rights and fishing waters, and I was assured by one of the speakers that these will be protected, and we will get back our fishing waters, probably much to the annoyance of French and Spanish fishing fleets. But I don't know. I understood that Barnier was trying to hold that out as a bargaining tool and saying, well, look, if you want full rights to carry out services from the city, then you might have to give up some of your fishing waters. But that remains to be seen. I understand that from the speakers tonight that won't take place, but I would like to see what happens there. We also heard that citizens' rights have been guaranteed. This was because of an amendment put forward by Alberto da Costa MP, and that's good news for the 3 million citizens living here. I understand that 2.7 million people have applied for settled status. These are EU citizens. And of course, according to the BBC, they're all going to go home, weren't they? They're all going to leave the UK and go back to Poland and Romania and Italy and all these things. But that doesn't seem to be the case. People have started to make their life here. They've got jobs here. They've got work here. And even in a beautiful country like Italy, it's not easy to find work. There's high unemployment in Italy, Spain, even parts of France. So, they're here to work and build a life, and that's what many of them do. And many of the British Italians there tonight were applying for British citizenship, even, let alone settled status. So that's good news. These are professional people. We need professional people like that. However, there was a story today that an Italian who was, I think, 101 applied for citizenship, and they were asked by the Home Office if they could get their parents to verify their status here in the UK. Well, obviously they make mistakes, but I understand that the Home Office have already processed 2.5 million applications, and they only refused 6 of them. And that's done on a lower fee, and I think it's unbelievable how many they have processed in quite a short time. And I hope that British citizens living in Europe will be accorded the same rights and courtesies. Yes, I'm sure that their rights will be there, but whether the countries will follow the law as closely as we do and as tightly as we do remains to be seen. But let's see what happens in how that works out. Now, I've also noted that a lot of investment is still coming into the UK, and you can read about this. You can read how much investment is coming in. This is despite the doom and gloom that investments are going to pour out of the UK. We'll become second-class citizens in the world. We're losing our status in the world. Well, that doesn't seem to be borne out by the evidence of investment coming in. And one of the speakers tonight was Angela McFarland, who's the Market Development Director and Chair of Brexit Task Force for a huge company called IQVIA. It's spelled IQVIA. Now, they're one of the largest pharmaceutical companies or life sciences companies in the UK, and the UK is the largest sector for this type of life sciences after America in the world. So it brings in multi-billions into the UK economy. It employs hundreds of thousands of people. It's a very important sector, and she is involved in making sure. I think it brings in 74 billion to the UK, and it employs directly and indirectly 750,000 people. And we are the most productive sector. They are the most productive sector in the UK. So they are working towards making sure that they have the ability to trade successfully after Brexit. But they're currently investing something like 4 billion into life sciences in the UK. We have talent here. We have research talent here. So that's all good news for the UK, and good news that that we're looking forward to the positive future rather than sort of talking doom and gloom, and that we hear from some of the Ramonas that everything is going to be a disaster. Well, I don't think it is. Now, earlier today I was in a meeting, and sitting next to me were some people talking about. I was with a property investor, but next on the next table in this hotel in London, just off Marylebone High Street, were a couple of people talking about property investment in the UK, and they were talking on a much bigger level because they were talking about private investors from all sorts of countries around the world. One of them was Israel, in fact, that were investing millions into London, into the city of London, into office buildings, into shopping centres outside of London, and into the Midlands. And there's more money available to invest in the UK than there are projects, probably. So that gave me a little smile there, that the people who said, "Oh, money will pour out of the UK," it's actually the opposite. People are putting money into the UK because they see it as a safe haven for their money, and they see it as a good place to invest and get a good return, because it's a vibrant economy. It's the 5th largest economy in the world, and it's a good place to invest. So that's good news. You might look at that and say, "Oh, well, all these foreign buyers coming in buying properties is pushing up the price of property for everybody else." Well, you can't have it both ways, can you? If you want it to be a country where nobody wants to put their money into, then you're going to be worse off than the country where at least people are putting their money into the UK. So there you go. That's just a bit of good news about the UK, and that there is life after Brexit. And this year we'll see the negotiations continue and hopefully come up with a decent trade deal for our service sectors, which is very important. It employs a lot of people in the UK, the City of London, and of course our fishermen and farmers and manufacturers. We want to see working with European partners, trading and working with Europe, but not being controlled by Europe. And that's what really Brexit is all about. So thanks for listening. This is Charles Kelly, bringing you money tips to help you save, earn, invest, accumulate, and enjoy more money. Good night and bye for now.